name's Georgia Kijesky. With the Personhood Alliance, founder Personhood Maryland. Personhood Alliance is, just to summarize in case you haven't heard about it, it is a confederation of independent pro-life organizations who pursue personhood as the essential strategy for restoring legal protection to every human being from womb to tomb, without exception, and who work to uphold the biblical worldview by honoring God's design for life, marriage, family, sexuality, and gender. I'm just a homeschool mom. I was sitting home one day reading my newspaper, and I stumble upon this advertisement for a sex ed class for minors only. So upon further research, I find that the instructor is a sex toy lubricant peddling BDSM instructor. And this is being hosted by my library, co-hosted by the lubricant company she works for. So, of course, that wasn't advertised by the library. That was some deep digging on my part to find that information out. And upon inquiring with my library board, with all the people that work at the library, they were perfectly fine with her public appearance, persona, as an expert in the field of sex for children. So, long story short, the class was originally canceled by public backlash. However, meeting room loopholes and obscenity exemption laws permitted the class to go on despite public backlash. And it was held police protection. The police set up a security checkpoint so adults wouldn't enter the room. Actually arrested a woman who tried. So that was my first run-in with the library, and then fast forward a couple months later to another sounding of the alarm to a book display that was luring children to read sexually explicit material. These books were covered with brown paper bags, neon labels up front that read, "Read the book, you rebel, you." You lift the bag and you find Little Black Book for Girls. And I hate to have to bring this stuff up, but inside the book, when you look, is pictures of sex toys and how to place dental dams in areas and how to basically making it seem like this is all fun and this is encouraging children to engage in this behavior. Then this led me to the understanding, after this is now 9 months of grappling with my library, what is going on here? Who's running the show? Why is this being allowed to happen? And come to find that our library is being controlled by the Library Board of Trustees under the appearance that the taxpaying citizen is running the library they're funding. But this is not the case. The library trustees are appointing themselves, giving the impression that the taxpayer has control of the library they fund by handing over their suggested trustees to our library officials and allowing them to appoint themselves. So this went to the state level to try to get this law amended. This is all protected under the law, that they can do this. And long story short, our GOP elected officials caved to the ALA pressure. And the amendment never even saw the light of day. All it was to rein in the library so that the taxpayers could have control who funds them. We don't want these books being hurled upon children. We don't want the sexual grooming of children in our libraries. And we should have a say in that, and we don't. But that's the little secret that the ALA does not want you all to know. So I am going to just pause here for a moment to allow my own librarian to speak. She's not here, of course, but she wrote this article back in June 2017, the month after my first encounter, the sex ed class for minors only. Do you work for a library in a small, rural, conservative community and wish you could do more to make your library more inclusive to LGBTQ community, but meet with resistance? There are steps you can take to move your library and community progressively forward, and here are a few things I've done. Tips and tricks to being a secret librarian operative. Sure, You want to eventually get Drag Queen Story Hour, but start with something simple. Now, this article was directed towards librarians nationwide. Like I said, your library isn't ready for Drag Queen Story Hour, but that doesn't mean those programs can't still be held in your library. If your library has meeting space, reach out to groups like your local PFLAG group and let them know they can hold meetings and host programs at your library. Sneakily fit stuff into current programs. So you're not doing Drag Queen Storytime yet, but you're probably doing just regular old Storytime, right? Try to sneak inclusive messages into your current programs. For instance, if you're reading a book about a mama bear and a papa bear, say it's about two papa bears. If there are characters in a book where gender is unidentified and irrelevant, feel free to play and change it up. Chances are families won't even notice. Creatively encourage inclusive collection development. If your library is resistant to letting you do a display or a program, purchase materials with LGBT themes. So this is where I found out, okay, these books that are on the shelves are actually being requested by librarians. Request the books, movies, and music. This will help you. Keep advocating, my fellow small-town librarians. Despite adversity, it's worth it, she closes her article. Of course, this was all meant to be a secret. This was not meant for us, tax-paying citizens, menial, busy, raising our families, to find out about. So it's really important to realize, now this is leading up to my 2019 experience with the Drag Queen Story Hour in my library. And what exactly is it? I mean, let's call it what it is. It's cross-dressers, mostly biological men dressed up, not just like women, but a cartoon caricature of women. Women should be outraged. We're the feminists around. You know, so this is like blackface, I heard someone refer to this as. This is very true. I mean, it's a grotesque, you know, making women look grotesque. It certainly doesn't make me feel pretty, I'll tell you. It's really, the whole goal is to push this homosexual, sexually deviant gender ideology. Storytime is not just storytime at my library. It was dress kids into drag, teach them how to cross-dress, do their makeup, get them dressed up. And, you know, they're tailored precisely to entice children to question the reality of human sexuality. It's to normalize abnormal behavior as early as possible. And why exactly is this bad for children? Well, it exposes them to adult themes. Cross-dressers are adult entertainers. The one at my library just so happens to be running I guess you could call it a adult escort service on his spare time. Reports of children crawling on cross-dressers. This is, I don't know if you saw the pictures out there of the little children crawling all over one of the cross-dressers. Reports of storytime cross-dressers as being registered child sex offender. This was in Texas. Fox News reported on that as well. This confuses children and it frustrates human nature. It disrupts relationships, and it's really harmful to society. Dr. Michelle Cretella, president of the American College of Pediatricians, she states, children will come to believe that their sex is whatever they think they want it to be. This is dangerous from a psychological point of view. It's disrupting the natural process of gender identity formation. So what can we do? What can we do as parents, just sitting home, you know, trying to raise our families and live a good, decent life? Well, we have to find out where exactly our libraries are being controlled from. Who's controlling them? For me, it took months to find out that our libraries are not being controlled by us who are paying for them. You can make Drag Queen Story Hour or any type of sexualization of children a electoral measure within your community. We must get libraries out of the hands of the ALA. That is really where this is at. People are completely unaware that the ALA is behind all this, and we have to do that. And one good way to do that would be to repurpose our libraries into community centers, right? Our libraries we're in a post-library age. Technology, my library director said, we're no longer a warehouse of books. Right now, they're doing yoga, 3D printers, and they are catering to the homeless. They are giving them toiletries and turning the meeting rooms into cafeterias for the homeless. So I would basically say you have to keep the pressure on. We can't sit around and just hope that somebody else will do this for us. We really have to take a stand. And basically my conclusion here.
Yeah.